Hello students, welcome to LegacyIAS Academy. Today we are going to discuss about a recent news that has emerged from the Antarctica. For the first time in the history, microplastic have recently been discovered in the Antarctic region. So in this particular video, we are going to discuss about what are the microplastics, what are the various types of plastics, and what are the ramifications or what are the after effects we can expect due to the finding of microplastics in the Antarctic region. We are also going to discuss that what are the steps government of India has taken to curb plastic pollution. So let us try to understand this issue in more detail. So first of all, the context in which we are discussing today's topic is because recent research that has been conducted by a team of scientists from the United States of America and Australia. The team have for the first time in history found microplastic in the freshly fallen snow that has deposited in the Antarctic region. The pollutant, the scientists argue, it poses a grave threat to the region's ecosystem and also can exacerbate the effect of global warming by causing rapid melting of the snow sheets and the glaciers. Microplastic, basically, if we try to understand which part of Antarctica has been discovered, so it is the Ross Island region where large concentration of the microplastics has been discovered. Now, this is not the first instance that microplastic has been discovered in the world, but however, this is the first instance microplastic has been discovered in the Antarctic region. Before that, also, we have found microplastics in deep below the ocean floors, even at the peak of Mount Everest. That is obviously expected because we have so many people climbing Mount Everest every year, and they bring along with themselves a lot of plastic waste, and that somehow enters into the mountainous regions or the peak regions of Everest. So that is why this also becomes very crucial, because till now Antarctic was free of the microplastic. Now it has also become a victim of microplastic pollution. So before understanding this pollution implications in more detail, let us try to understand what are microplastic, how can we define microplastic. So as per the scientific definition, microplastic are that very small or tiny plastic debris whose size does not exceed 5 millimeter or whose diameter does not exceed 5 millimeter. Microplastics can basically be divided into two types. The first one are called as primary microplastics. The primary microplastics are basically designed and created for the commercial uses. And the main ingredient or the main items in which you can find primary microplastics are daily use items such as cosmetics, nurdle plastic pellets which are used for industrial purposes, as well as in the fibers that we use in our daily life, synthetic textiles such as nylon. On the other hand, the secondary type of microplastics are created due to the disintegration of the or degradation of the larger plastic waste. For example, we have plastic bottles, plastic fishing nets, and even the plastic bags that we use for carry-on purposes. When they degrade, when they are discarded, they start to degrade, and since they are non-biodegradable in nature, they keep on remain in the atmosphere, they remain in the soil layers, but become very tiny or minute inside. So such kind of microplastics can be termed as the secondary microplastics. Now question comes that how these microplastics were able to reach the Antarctic region, because this region is very far away from the human habitation. So how, since humans are not inhabiting that areas in a large population, how microplastics have came there? So first of all, before that, we have to understand that the amount of microplastic that has been discovered in Antarctic is somewhere in the range of 29 particles per liter of melted snow, which is very high number in terms of plastic pollution. And scientists believe that the microplastics have been able to enter the Antarctic region mainly because they are very lightweight in nature, because they are less than 5 millimeter in size, and also they have very low density, and that is why their weight becomes very low, and it is very easier for the winds and the ocean currents to move them from one region to the other region. And however, Antarctic region basically microplastic have reached by the movement of the wind, movement of the air. Not only that, even we know that though Antarctic is not an inhabited place, there are many research stations where scientists from different countries are working continuously. So it is also believed that it might be due to the human presence in Antarctica that might have created microplastic footprint. So not only the microplastics are coming by air from the other continents, they are also being created by the scientists and research station there. And also it is possible that since Antarctic is also a place where tourists from all across the countries come on this special expedition, they might also have contributed to a certain extent in increasing the microplastic concentration in the Antarctic. So what are the sources of microplastics in Antarctic? As per the recent research, almost of all the type of plastics that we have discovered in Antarctic, it is the polyethylene terephthalate PET, which is very commonly used plastic types, that is most predominant one. And out of all the samples that we have collected, 79% of the samples have PET concentration. The major sources of PET is here believed to be the local research station, because there are a lot of people are working, a lot of scientists are working there, and it is possible that from these research station, broken fragments of plastic equipments which they use to carry out research, even mismanaged waste from the research station, and also from the wayfinding flags. Wayfinding flags are the flags that are planted in the Antarctic to ensure the travelers to show them the correct path, and which is the safest path to travel, safest path to move in the Antarctic. So these are the few important sources from which PET might have emerged and enter into the Antarctic ecosystem. Polyethylene terephthalate, as discussed before, is the most common type of thermoplastic polymer resin of the family, that is polyester family, and PET is also we use in our daily life in a very large, we can say very repeatedly, very frequently, because it is used in fibers which we use for clothing purposes. It is also used for making containers for the various liquids and even certain food items, containers for liquids and food items. Now, what can be the major implications of discovery of microplastic in the Antarctic region? So first of all, microplastic, since they are non-biodegradable in nature, they keep on accumulating in the atmosphere, they keep on accumulating in the soil layer, in the snow layer, and that is why they can present a huge threat to the whole ecosystem, distinctive ecosystem of the Antarctic. Because if their concentration is growing up in the soil, snow, or the water, and if a small fishes, they keep on ingesting these small microparticles, then the small fishes will be eaten by a large fishes, then the microparticle will increase, will have a process that is called in environment as biomagnification. That means the concentration of microplastic will keep on increasing from one trophic layer to the other trophic layer. So overall, the larger animals such as penguins and the polar bears in the Arctic regions, they also can become infected, or we can say they can also ingest large amount of microplastics by their food, and thus it is toxic in nature, and that is why it is presenting a threat to the ecosystem of both these regions. So what can be the main challenges, or what can be main problems because of ingestion of plastic or microplastic? So first of all, animals such as penguins, seals, and other big fishes, their biological processes can be disrupted if they ingest a huge amount of microplastic. Not only that, it is also believed that the increase in the microplastic in Antarctic and Arctic region can worsen the impact of climate change. Let us try to understand how. So microplastic basically are darker in nature as compared to fresh snow, fresh ice, and when there is a deposition of microplastic on fresh snow, it absorbs more amount of sunlight, and that is why it causes rapid melting of the glacier and snow, and that is why it will cause increase in the sea level changes and can worsen the overall impact of climate change. Microplastic are also involved in a process that has been termed as a scavenging. Since, as we discussed, microplastics are very small in diameter, very less in mass and weight, and that is why they are easily picked up by the air. And when they are picked up by the air or picked up by the snow, they get deposited on the snow particles. If they suppose snowfall is happening, the microplastic present in atmosphere that has been picked up by the air will get accumulated or get trapped in the snow particles, and when the snow particles will fall back on the ground surface, then the microplastic concentration will start growing up. So this is one way how microplastic are able to reach different corners of the earth, even if the human settlement is not present there. And if the concentration of microplastic increases in the atmosphere, and if they are floating all around with the winds and snow, then there is also a risk of possible inhalation by both humans as well as wildlife that can cause serious health implications for both of them. So what has India taken, or what steps India has taken to ensure that plastic pollution does not, or plastic pollution can be curbed? So India has decided recently that as per the Gazette notification published by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, India has said that it will ban the use of single-use plastic from the 1st of July. And the ban not only includes uses of the plastic, but it is a blanket ban that covers the manufacture, import, stocking, distribution of, and the sale of the plastic as well. The statement given by the official of Ministry of Environment, he said that the decision to ban single-use plastics has been taken on the basis of the difficulty that the government have to face in collection and therefore recycling of the plastic waste. And since the collection and recycling is not happening at a regular level, or we can say is not happening in the scale at which the plastic waste is being created, what it causes continuous accumulation of plastics and microplastics in the soil and the atmosphere. So what are the single-use plastics that government has decided to ban? Single-use plastic basically refer to such plastic items that are used only once and after that it is discarded. The example of single-use plastics you can see clearly here. The coffee glasses that we coffee mugs or coffee glasses that we use, after using it once we throw it away. Then we have the plastic bags that we carry some certain things, again is throw away. Plastic straws, plastic bottles, all these are example of single-use plastic. And why banning of single-use plastic is important? Because if you look at the data published by an Australian agency, single-use plastic have a highest share in all of the plastic that is manufactured and used, not only in India but also at the worldwide scale. And if you look at the contribution of single-use plastic, they account for third of all plastic produced globally, and 98% of these plastics are manufactured by taking help of fossil fuel. So cutting down on the single-use plastic will not only help us in fighting plastic pollution, but also to some extent help us in decreasing our dependency on fossil fuel for various economic activities or various economic purposes. So what we can say in conclusion, that recently this year itself, a global plastic treaty was signed, which was signed by almost 124 countries, which are part of United Nations Environment Assembly. And as per this treaty, including India, and other countries have decided that they will draw up an agreement in the near future and will make it legally binding for all the signatories to address the full life of plastic, right from the stage of production to the stage of disposal. And once we are able to take such a comprehensive step in banning of plastics, then only we can be sure about ending the plastic pollution. So that is all about this particular issue. I hope you understood about this issue very well. Thank you very much.